Hi, you guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Allie Wilkins. If it's your first time here, I'm an oracle teacher, mystic, priestess, and I focus on the ancient feminine as well as the Akashic records. And I initiate women into really holding more of their ancient feminine embodiment, either as a priestess or in whatever path your soul has chosen for this lifetime. So that's a little bit about me in this channel. Make sure to subscribe if you want more conversations like that. Today, we're doing a special conversation with my friend Julia Weigert, who specializes in sacred travel. And so we're talking about particularly what we can expect with when we're going on retreats or pilgrimages in lands that hold a lot of energy in terms of remembrance, activation. We're talking about the differences in different places we can visit or go, whether it's your backyard or whether it's Egypt or Greece or the south of France or Scotland or Africa or Australia or wherever you might be feeling called to. We talk a lot about the experience of grid work in particular places when your soul is called. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. Make sure to share in the comments whatever feels alive for you around it. If there's other questions that you have, if there's things you want to add to the conversation, we would love to hear it. And of course, all of this is bringing in the Magdalene consciousness as well, the sacred feminine, and particularly through the rose lineage. So if you like that, I think you'll love this video here today with Julia. So without further ado, please enjoy. So welcome you guys back to my YouTube channel. I have a special guest today, Julia Weigert, who is a new friend, but is one of those friends that just feels very familiar as soon as you meet them. And so today we're going to be talking about a variety of things from the Magdalene consciousness to maybe dragon nodes and to sacred travel. And I know on the channel, I did a video a couple weeks ago about grid work and how we part of our role as light workers, some of us, a big part of that can be doing grid work and doing activations with the land and being very activated by the land itself. So you guys love that conversation. So I know you're going to love this one as well. We're going to be talking a lot about land activations and energy from within different nodal points within the globe. And this is really Julia's specialty, and she takes people on sacred pilgrimages, and she has a few of them coming up this year. So anyways, Julia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, Ellie. And hi, everyone. My name is Julia. I live in Switzerland. I was not born here. I am originally from Germany. But yeah, as things happen, I live in Switzerland now, which is also a very, very potent land. It's like the heart of Europe. So lots of work to do here. And I was in corporate for over 20 years. And actually also quite successful, but there was this really deep nagging voice that I always had, that there's more. Yeah, it's been 2 years now that I completely like quit that, but having embarked on the priestess path actually before. And there was a time where I felt that I had closed off my spiritual side like completely. And for me, something really clicked in place when I allowed these almost like identities, this Gemini to merge, the twins to merge, the spiritual, the divine feminine, that is connected to source, and also that human Julia that is that has work, that has family, like that she has that mundane life, and stuff to do. So that was a major part for me, and it's another thing that is very prevalent for me. I've always been interested, even as a child, in ancient civilizations and traveling, meeting new cultures, meeting new people. And I learned, like, retrospectively, that the land always initiated, like certain lands initiated me into a deeper knowing of myself and a deeper truth to what the earth is, and like this bigger role that we play also in that entire cosmos. And that's like when I understood that, and the wisdom that comes through when we allow this connection to happen, that's what I'm so passionate about, also allowing others to experience right now.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that work. It's so, I mean, just my experiences with being in different places, like the land act, because I just move around all the time and I travel a lot. The land truly activates us, like different aspects of ourselves. So I'd love to hear from you just about some of the different, like just whatever feels like it's coming alive for you now in relation to Magdalene consciousness, the dragon nodes, the sacred feminine, and any of the land, the areas maybe that you feel are really potent for these activations right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess first of all, I want to say that you don't have to travel necessarily, because not everybody can travel or has the means to travel. And so, first and foremost, I feel nature per se is sacred. And whenever you have, I mean, you have this beautiful, amazing grove behind you that looks so AI, but it's real. So nature is so sacred per se. And whenever we have a chance to be outside and really consciously like walk the land and be part of that, of the environment, that is where it also already starts to do something, and work us from within. And then, of course, there are certain places that you can travel. To me, like the earth is just like one big library. And I know that you're going to love it because you're working so much with the Akasha. And so to me, it's like one big library. And whether, there is a wisdom or there is a consciousness stored in the soil, in the plants, like in trees, old trees, or rocks. And then, of course, also if you have ancient temples or stone circles, like all of these structures that have been there for thousands and thousands of years and have seen civilizations rise and fall. And especially because you mentioned Magdalene, like where, let's say, avatars that walked the earth have physically been and like planted their consciousness. It's like we can go and retrieve the wisdom right now. So that's how it feels to me. And yeah, so there's lots of places. I would say wherever you feel called to go, like this is where there's clues for you, and where your soul probably has left, maybe in another lifetime or another timeline, where you yourself planted something for you. And this is what's coming up for you. So also paying attention to, synchronicities. What is maybe a country or a certain place that keeps on popping up for you, then that's always a sign for me to go deeper.
Yeah, so I'd love if you guys watching, if you want to put in the comments like where you might be feeling called to go, because it's interesting. I feel like there's, especially with the priestess path, I feel like there's these large waves of like certain temples that are kind of reawakening. And from like I don't know, 2012 to 2020, I felt the Egyptian temples opened up in such a large way. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, I want to go to Egypt and I want to, remembering our past lives as Egyptian priestesses. And so I'd love to see you guys where you're feeling called to, because also everybody who's following this particular channel probably has some sort of soul connection, or that we're vibrating in some sort of, similar capacity. So it'll be interesting to see where everybody feels called. Where did you first feel like what activated that for you, Julia? What land first drew you in?
Egypt, definitely Egypt.
Yeah.
So, and it's literally like, as long as I remember, when I was a child, I was always fascinated with Tutankhamun, and like anything and everything that I could find about Egypt, and also ancient Greece. So the older the better, and the pyramids. And I kind of like lost it, or forgot about it, and there was different stuff in life happening that was more important, obviously. And then a couple of years back, it was in the COVID time, when I saw this pilgrimage by Achintya Devi and Saranaya Soleil, and they were calling in women who wanted to go to Egypt. And it's like one of these moments where, in like, you feel it in your blood and bones, and it's just like, no matter what, I'll be there. And that's also, I feel, I get a lot of questions these days, especially also with Egypt and other countries. And it's like, is it safe to travel? And that is a question that, of course, everybody needs to answer for themselves individually, depending also on your situation. But the way that it's for me, and I have experienced it personally, and also see it come together for others, is that when your soul decides like you have to be there at a certain point in time, the universe makes it happen, and you'll be protected. And then of course there's like different layers. So I love to work with the guardians of the land, which is very important for me obviously too, um, especially when you are, yeah, steering and guiding a group field, but also for personal pilgrimage. So there's that. And then, there's, it's interesting because I've always, and I guess also many who are listening and watching, I've had this call to explore ancient Atlantis, but then also like go further back to Lemuria. And for me, I feel when I tune in, and like also the places where I feel most home, it's really like these temple structures that to me are more Atlantean. It's kind of like this ancient technology that is stored there and that you can access in your body that unlocks. Whereas my husband, for example, he is so Lemurian. He's like the most Lemurian person I've ever met. And for him, it's literally like turquoise water, white beach, like that second Avatar movie in the waters, like that is him. And it's just like this pure nature environment that is pure beauty in itself, and like cathedrals built by nature in a way. And this is where I feel is very much where we can come to, or at least for me, and I want everybody to like bring this into your own discernment, but where you can really like go into that rest mode. And it's these Atlantean sites, these temple sites, the places where that have deliberately and like structurally been built to mirror our bodies, to mirror our chakra systems, to activate ancient knowledge within you.
So
Does that
powerful.
resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a little giggle because right when you brought in Atlantis, like that second I was thinking about on my YouTube channel here, I've done so many videos with Priscilla. So you guys watching this,
Yeah.
um, I met Julia through Priscilla Campos, which we've done a bunch of different videos about Atlantis. And so I was gonna say too, like if you're feeling an Atlantean connection here, or feeling little pings of your Atlantean priestess sort of buzzing, wanting to awaken, like that energy is also definitely very present here. And it's also just kind of funny because Priscilla always says that about her husband too, that she's so Atlantean and then he's super Lemurian.
I know. We've spoken about that too. Yes.
Yeah. My first land I felt called to was Bali, and it was for those little
Mm,
codes. And I just remember it was like, and so maybe someone watching this, if you're feeling called to a particular place, this might resonate for you because um now I've experienced this in a few different ways where it's like really like in the beginning when I went to Bali, I was like, this is insane. Like this is so crazy. I'm just gonna like I quit my job and I went and did a yoga teacher training there and I was like having a quarter life crisis at the time. It was 2015. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody understands this. I'm going to a place I've never been. I don't know a single person there, but it has to be there. And people were like, why don't you just do
yeah.
yoga teacher training like down the street at the local? I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like
No.
it has to be this particular place. And when I landed in Bali, I just cried. And I was like, just, as soon as the wheels of the plane hit the land, I was like, I feel at home. Like this place has been home to me so many times. And at that time, I actually didn't know anything about Lemuria or like you were saying, it's this soul recognition. So, and then like later times now it's now, once you've gone to different places and experienced those activations, like you were saying, the different chakra points being awakened, you just trust it a lot more. So if you're watching this and you're like, I feel called, but I'm scared, that's also very normal. But once you do it enough, it's like, no, I'm called to this place because it's trying to awaken some sort of remembrance in me. Um, I feel called to ask this, Julia. Do you feel like in Egypt, what do you feel do you feel the Magdalene resonance in Egypt
Oh
with people, or do
yeah.
you feel like that's more of a like light body awakening, or what's your experience when you've taken people or like you've gone to Egypt and had those awakenings?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that question. I love it. And it's one thing that I get so often. And I had fallen into that trap kind of like too, because our mind is like, okay, wait, 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 wait. No, no, no. This is like a separate, like separate line, separate lineage. Like, no, no, no. This is nothing to do with each other. Um, but then again, like your body tells you differently. And it's like, okay, but there is this weaving, definitely. And this is what I so love about when you travel like with this intention, or when you travel like for yeah, soul recognition. You get to understand with your body, and you can have the taglines, and you can read all about it, and you can like, yeah, have a guide that tells you all about history, but then there is this felt experience that will actually tell you what happened. And it doesn't have to be the truth with the capital T, but like at least there is, you get threads of what this place is about and what activated it. And so of course we have the actual like recorded history that um, of course Mother Mary with Yeshua as a baby, when they needed to flee from the Holy Land, there is a church in Cairo that you can still visit. It's called the Hanging Church. And you go there and you just feel the presence of the Marys and the presence of that miracle and the protection and safety. And there was also a lot of recordings of light beings and light body activations happening. And so to me it's actually no longer separate. And then when you dive a little deeper into the storyline that of course we don't find in the Bible, but if you like have other resources, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and also others who were actually part of their congregation, they trained in these temples. And especially for Mary Magdalene, she was part of that Isis Hathor lineage, meaning that she was a tantric priestess. She was trained in all of these different arts, whether it's the arts of how like you mix oils for healing, or the tantric sexual aspect. So there's lots of different activations that they, as these avatars, would undergo. And there was Egypt, and there was also Avalon, and many other places in the more Celtic regions. And there is definitely that thread that weaves through the land, and you can, yeah, pick it up and um, remember for yourself. Remember that you are part of that too.
Yeah, I love that. And I wanted to ask that question because I, I know so many people listening feel really directly connected to the Rose lineage, and I do as well. And it spans so many different lands. So it's interesting to hear that experience in Egypt, because I know people have a lot of different experiences too, and I've heard many people say it can be I don't want to say like harsh in Egypt, but it can be like really big, really big activations that sometimes can be like a lot on the system. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, I do. And it's, I again, like, it's not to say that this is true for everybody, but Egypt is a death and rebirth. Like it's a death portal and it's a birth portal at the same time. And my experience with, in particular, Egypt has been that it's very physical. And that's also like a reason why for me, as when I go for myself, but also as a guide for others, to me there is the aspect of, yes, we're going on the sacred journey, but the point where this journey actually starts is the moment that you say yes internally. So there is a preparation that um, I don't want to say like needs to happen, but I feel it is very beneficial if you prepare yourself for such a trip, especially if it is a longer period, and especially if it's Egypt or another country where your soul will definitely go through big shifts. And then there is the part where you actually go and you have an experience, and then there is also the part after, about the integration. And I just really want to stress that, because I feel, nowadays there is so many people who even offer these experiences. And I also have heard from participants that they went, and it was almost kind of like a traumatizing experience, because the guided integration wasn't there. And that's where I feel it's really, yeah, just a piece to consider as well, that it's huge, like going on such. And even if you don't do Egypt, even if you do a pilgrimage for yourself and you just go somewhere in the mountains or to the sea, like the shifts that happen are really profound. And to allow this to really fully drop into your body and being, so that you can take it home with you and integrate it into your daily life, like that's what we want to do. It's not that, oh, I'll have some like woo woo experience and even like past lifetimes, or yeah, going through your akashic fields down there. I mean, this is stirring up deep stuff, so you might want to give it space.
Yeah, I mean, especially in places so powerful as Egypt, but really anywhere that your soul's really feeling called, it's like there's aspects of your soul that are being reintegrated within yourself. So of course we're going to go home different. And we're going to go home like with new skill sets and with new ways of seeing the world or ways of operating in the world, and then likely leaving some of the old stuff from this incarnation behind that's just not helpful. And I think a lot of times that can be, matrix programming and like ways that we think we're supposed to be operating and that sort of thing. And these ancient lifetimes that we've held so much power and what I call and I talk about on this channel, the ancient feminine. It's like the feminine before the patriarchy existed. Like who were we then? So when if you just like even just as I say that, it's like you can feel the power of that sort of woman or that sort of feminine energy as it existed on the planet. So when we're integrating that into our body from different lands where that was more potent or where that was more like, there were, in Egypt, it's like there's if you so you guys watching this, I'm sure Julia knows this already, but if you look at a map of Egypt, I believe there's like the seven pyramids and they're all kind of in a line like this, and then you have the seven waterways up towards the top. I'm probably like butchering this. And each of those pyramids are different chakra activation. So it's my point in just adding this to what Julia was saying is that we're not just having a woo-woo experience when you go to a place like this. You're reintegrating a part of your soul that's been dormant. It's a big deal. So you're not going to come back home and be like, oh, I'm the same. Now I'm just going to go back to doing everything the same way. Like there's going to be shifts and there's going to be reverberations. And I think too, what Julia is speaking to here that's so important is like we have to be aware of that and be ready to accept that. And I think pretty much anybody watching this channel is like understands the process of transformation and is open to change and understands like in order to get something new I have to leave something behind. So beautiful.
I
Go
I
ahead.
love what you're saying. I just feel, it's a difference, for me, and I've seen it in people. Um, when we understand it, or we're fully in it, we're fully in the process. And there's like actual physical stuff that can happen. I've seen a lot of people purge, like in the king's chamber, being in the sarcophagus, because yeah, this is the vibration and the frequency that you are exposed to, like on a daily level over a long period of time. We are not exposed to that in our daily lives. And so that sometimes it can happen that just the difference between your natural energy field and what you're stepping into is so huge. And that's why sometimes, yeah, the physical purge comes up. And so I just feel it's, even, when there is this physical discomfort, it's all part of the game, so to say. And because you mentioned earlier, it can be super scary, and I feel Egypt is definitely such a portal where also, especially in the priestess lineage, there has um, of course always been, distortions, but also like persecutions and all of that. And you kind of like get to see it all. You get to see the gifts and you get to see the beauty of it, but you also get to see like maybe the not so nicer parts of other lifetimes. And that's then to bring that back. And you've seen it, but like what's the actual lesson here? Like, why are you being shown this?
Hmm. Yeah, that's so important too. And it's interesting because I'm thinking about a trip I took last year to Mount Shasta, and I had wanted to go there for so long. And then it just happened that like my family, someone was getting married, so we all went on a big family trip out to Shasta. Little did I know that in my astrocartography, my Pluto line is right over Shasta. So when I went there, I thought it was gonna be like, because I work in the records, I'm in the records every single day.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this is gonna be such a beautiful, like, crown opening experience. And there was such family turmoil. Like, there was so many like things that happened that were massively important for certain people to kind of like crack open and awaken in certain ways,
Mm.
to be shaken, and including me in different ways too. And I'm just adding this into the conversation because Julia was talking about, sometimes like we can't necessarily anticipate what might happen, but it's always there's what she was saying about like understanding the process, because like, when I was there, I was like, "Wow, this isn't what I expected." I thought I was gonna
Yes.
have this, like, Pleiadian, super high
Mm.
vibrational thing happen, and instead there's all this destruction going on, and what felt like was gonna be serious long-term, like, cutting out of things. But you trust, like, "Well, this is happening for my highest good. This is the land has an intelligence that understands and a bigger vision than what I'm able to see, like, other than, like, "Oh, this week sucks," because it's so hard. It can see in the larger span of things and this is what we do in the Akashic Records all the time, looking at the soul's life, not just our individual incarnations or even, over 20 years or
Yeah.
something. So, just being open, like, to whatever might happen. But I know that you go to other places that are, you're taking people to other places in these activations that maybe aren't as harsh, like France or Greece, or you mentioned Iona. Do you want to share a little bit about, particularly the south of France? That area has like really been very popular in the last several years and is gaining a lot of notoriety again. So I'd love if you want to share about that area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, as you were saying, there's these waves of Egypt, and obviously it is again because there's so much that's, yeah, that has been and probably even like will be revealed. And for me, the Magdalene consciousness overall is really this, yeah, resurrection, or maybe, I just feel like it is time. Like they knew that it's going to take 2000 years for these codes and for the lineage to like go underground and keep the codes safe within certain, literally like womb spaces, of priestesses who were guarding it and who weren't maybe activated, but just like passing it on, carrying it on. And now it's really the time where this consciousness is being brought to the surface again. And um, the one of the places where it is really so prevalent is in the south of France. And there is a place that is called, it's right at the ocean, it's called Saint-Marie de la Mer. And the way that it's spelled, it's not one Mary, but it's several Marys. So indicating that Mary Magdalene, after she, yeah, after that great, I always call it like showdown, has happened with with Yeshua and the crucifixion. She and obviously also other people of the congregation, other Marys, Joseph of Arimathea, they came and landed in the south of France. And then it is believed that she spent the rest of her life there. Some say that like there is this Avalonian connection, and the Rose line also traveling up all the way through France and then into England, Scotland, and further. And there are so many places that carry her name or just like any Mary name. So when you go, it's really this initiation into your own womb space and into your own feminine grail. And that's why also, you know, what I love about the aspect of the pilgrimage is there is always this outer aspect and there is this inner aspect. So the landscape that you traverse basically mirrors the inner transformation that is happening. And so when you enter these caves and the energy that is present in the caves, um, and this transformation that is happening. And I love that, you know, now with we have actually timed it with some certain like movements that Venus is doing, so it feels kind of like extra potent to me. And then there is these waters, these sacred waters that are still really carrying this frequency, this the information that was stored into the lands, and at the same time then also working with these waters as your your sacred womb waters, and how you can initiate yourself into becoming or being this creatrix, and really revive the feminine. And for me, it's very important always to sell it's not always just about the feminine, but it's important because we as the feminine have the capacity to dream and to actually use this portal to also initiate the masculine, the sacred masculine that is, we spoken about it like offline, that is waking up right now too.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so the south of France, even just as you're talking about this, I bet you guys listening can feel the difference when we were talking about Egypt. Like the more softness, and I feel everybody's experience with Magdalene, it's like she's so multifaceted. She can help us and support us with so many different areas. Like I've been working with her for I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years now, and it's like she's helped support me with so many different areas, from womb work to heart work to financial sovereignty and um yeah, just so many different things. So I would imagine that when you take people there, there's also a variety of things she might be supporting people with. And I know also this is coming in for some reason right now for anyone listening who has experienced deep sexual abuse or domestic abuse or things of that nature. And I'm just having this visual, and I know that there are places like there's a lot of places like this, I think, in Europe, where there are like Magdalene houses that were for women who are displaced or who for women who just needed a lot of, extra support for a time. And so for some reason, like I said, that's also coming in particularly as a way she might be able to help someone right now. I feel like she's trying to reach somebody with me saying that. Um,
Mm.
but anyway, what I was saying before, just around all the different ways she can support people. Have you experienced that when you've gone to that area or brought people there?
I love that you're mentioning it because, you know, the tagline for this upcoming pilgrimage is actually to know her is to know thyself. And that's exactly what it speaks to, because there is not one way of getting to know her. And I just want to bring that in as well. I'm co-facilitating that pilgrimage with one of my dear sisters, and she's of French Lebanese heritage. And so her way of connecting and relating to her is very much through the ancient lands where she came from, right? Versus for me, I had different entry points and aspects. And already in the way like how we are curating it, and how I also see these Magdalene threads working in other women, it's just so beautiful because when you connect to her, and it's not only her, I really feel it's like the lineage of Magdalenes or Mariams, you will find that sanctuary within yourself, and that sovereignty, as you just said, whether this is financial or in a very physical, like body way. How do I relate to my body? What are my boundaries with my body? And that is very, very strong. And that's one aspect that I feel, it's also, lately I've been very much connecting with the star origin or the star wisdom, because to me also it feels like they were these Pleiadian star walking beings that came down to anchor in higher light codes, while at the same time, yes, being a human woman undergoing these dramatic, actually, situations in life that she had to face. So she definitely knew what grief was. I mean, remember your loved one being taken away like that. Um, and at the same time being fully aware that all of this is happening for a greater for a greater good, and is like a greater orchestration of things. And I feel um, this two aspects, it's something that I really try to bring together, also in the Magdalene Reiki um, energy train. It's sessions that I give, but also what I'm super passionate about is actually teaching you how to do it yourself. And what it is Magdalene initiations that you go through, and it's really this kind of like white wisdom stream that is coming down, the starlight, the starfire, that you retrieve these codings that are flowing through your blood. And then at the same time, it's this bottom up initiation that we were also referring to before with the tantrikas and this Isis lineage, and all of that comes together in your heart space. And that is your like sacred, your most sacred cauldron of alchemy, I would say.
And you're leading people on this Magdalene pilgrimage in May, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
And so if you're feeling drawn to Magdalene work, there's two ways that Julia is just saying that she can support you with this in particular. One, maybe going on the pilgrimage that's in May. Two, she's also doing Magdalene Reiki, so you could get a session from her. Three, learning how to actually, because I know so many of you watching this are healers. You already have businesses, you already are doing deep energetic work. So maybe if you want to add something to your repertoire, like learning how to lead yourself through Magdalene Reiki or others.
It was such a homecoming for me. And like being Reiki found me super early on in my path. It was like one of my first modalities. And to me, it was a door opener. I think that's what it was. Because it was like I used to feel it in my hands, and it was very prevalent in the way like heal with your hands. And that's how I came into Reiki. But throughout different modalities of Reiki that I trained in, even like Egyptian energy healing, they weren't, they were given to me, but I still never stuck to the rules, if that makes sense, which is also a very much a Magdalene trait, to be honest. Like this revolutionary in a way, because the system just felt too rigid. And when I trained in Magdalene Reiki, it was truly, truly a homecoming, because there was all these ancient symbols and these ancient glyphs that are um, not just the glyphs, but it's the energy that is transported through them. So whether you see them on the temple wall or you actually incorporate them into your healing, it's so powerful. And I feel it's more, again, like really this remembrance. It's like the collapsing into yourself to know yourself, to come back out of your own womb cave and like rebirthing yourself, and remembering that this is what these lineages, this is what we did all along. Like, and I don't usually use the term healer. I kind of like don't like it, because I feel it's really more this, I'm the vessel. I'm the vessel for source love to flow through. But it's Magdalene Reiki is so feminine, and at the same time it's really also um invoking this sensual, even kind of like more sexual, this tantric trait that comes along with it. And so also what you mentioned and what you spoke to about I feel there is certain women who are being drawn to experience this in a session, especially if you have had a lot of trauma in your womb space, or trauma from, let's say, the priestess path, maybe in general, but then also to train in it yourself, whether you want to use it in your work or not. I just feel it can be such a powerful tool of knowing yourself deeper and diving into this lineage even deeper to really like feel it in your body.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many facets that we've talked about where it feels like that could really reach people with wherever area they're at and whatever they're personally working through in their life. And Magdalene, to me, always, I'm sure you guys have a relationship with Magdalene if you're this far watching this by now, or you feel so called to her. But to me, she always feels like a big sister, as opposed to a lot of the other guides feel like mothers or feel like, no, this is a deity. There's not really a relational aspect to this. Magdalene to me is one of the only guides that feels like she's your sister. And so it comes with sort of a different relation because she understands being human. And she under there it's like there can be more
Yeah,
sympathy or compassion or like resonance. So also I feel like that gives her the ability to understand like what might be needed in a more tangible way sometimes than particularly working with others. And that's just what I feel like coming from the Magdalene Reiki energy, um, of how she might be able to support us in very tangible ways through our physical bodies. So
absolutely. Yes. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I wanna just respect your time here today because I know we've been going for a little bit, and then we could probably talk for, like, 18 hours about so many different things. Do you wanna just share the different retreat dates or general times that you have coming up this year for pilgrimages that you're leading?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. And I do want to add that actually, if you do feel drawn to join the Magdalene pilgrimage in May, you are going to be initiated into the first Magdalene Reiki. That's kind of like a treat add on that you'll get. This is happening in May, 21st to 25th. And then I have a beautiful, yeah, it's more like a feminine leadership, new earth New Earth Leadership retreat coming up in Switzerland. It's one of my most favorite places of all, where I go to really like recharge my soul. It's called Valley of the Light. And there's going to be lots of light coatings over the summer solstice, working with the solar feminine. So that's happening in Switzerland and the Swiss mountains. And then there's Egypt, end of December 11, no, sorry, in December 11th to 18th. So if you are feeling called to any of these, shoot me a message or reach out. I'm happy to share more.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming onto my channel today and sharing all your wisdom. You guys listening, please put in the comments, like, any questions that you have. I'll have all of Julia's information in the description so you can follow her on Instagram and look at her website and check out all these different pilgrimages and everything. But please let us know what your takeaways were from this or what um just might have felt interesting or anything that you learned from it so we know what you got from it and potentially to have Julia back on the channel and to talk about more stuff too if you have other questions about different aspects of this. So thank you so much for being here with us, Julia. And is there anything you want to add before we close out?
Um, Thank you so much for having me. I just, for some reason, I'm looking at my dragon skull, and it wants to come into the conversation. So I know that we haven't spoken about dragons, but it just feels like the energy is there, as this primordial guardian for the feminine. And yeah, so um, stay curious. There's a lot that's going to be revealed in the next times, and you are making a difference, and we can all make the timeline shift together. So thank you for watching.
I love that to close it out. Like, stay curious for what's coming next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can watch this and just leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll have Julia's podcast also. She has a Sacred Travel podcast with lots of interesting topics and around different locations that you can also subscribe to if you want more from her.